Hey everybody, welcome back to Shaun Stevenson Books. I'm Shaun Stevenson, the author of the Throne series, and I just finished reading, I think my favorite, Heebie Jeebies book. I've been reading this series, Heebie Jeebies. It's a Christian knockoff series of Goosebumps that came out in the late 90s, early 2000s, and this series is a lot of fun, and it is totally underrepresented in any of the retro market. No one talks about these books. I have barely found anyone who even knows about them. I didn't know about them when I was growing up and really into a lot of these books. The Spine Chillers books I had actually heard of, but I had never read one. They're another Christian Goosebumps knockoff series. But Heebie Jeebies, I never even knew about until just recently, last year, when I saw one at a used bookstore and I thought, what are these? And so I finished reading Heebie Jeebies, book number 5, The I Scream Truck. Now, I have a theory about why these books were not that popular. Look at this cover. I just gotta say, not the best cover art. The art is a little bit odd looking. It's a little strange. I can see what they were going for in the Goosebumps style book with Tim Jacobus, who was the illustrator of a lot of the Goosebumps original series covers. And he had this angles thing where he would often distort angles like this. And so I can see what they were trying to do. However, I feel like overall, the picture does not look that great, in my opinion. I think there are other ways they could have done this cover because this book was good, people. This book was so good. This was the best one of all the Heebie Jeebies books so far. This is the 5th one I've read, book number 5 in the series. And wow, this one's story is tight. The scares are here. There is a great mystery happening. And you are wondering the whole time who is on whose side, what is happening, and what will happen to this kid. So the basic premise of the book: Robert McAllister has a big family, and he has a long family tree. And he comes to find out that after the last McAllister dies, he is the next to die, supposedly. You see, every 9th McAllister dies before their 13th birthday. They have done the math. They've looked at the gravestones, and Robert McAllister is next. Because in 1 week, he turns 13. Will he survive? Because every single one of the McAllisters who died before they turned 13 died in some ice-related accident. And so suddenly, all Robert McAllister sees around him are ice picks, ice axes, ice cream trucks, accidents with freezers. Who knows what will happen to him? All he does know is that it could be him next. And so Robert McAllister, he is an only child with his parents, and his parents have decided to let his cousin Zelda stay with them for a week following the funeral of this last deceased McAllister. And Zelda, according to Robert, is a little creepy because she is not like other kids. She's a little different. She likes to talk about death and graveyards, and she hangs out in the graveyard for fun. And Zelda is the one who told Robert this whole story about the McAllister ice curse. Is Robert McAllister actually cursed? Accident after accident keeps taking place where Robert is almost killed by something involving ice. So this book, it starts off so great and is so well done throughout it. The scares, like I said, are so integrated into this storyline that you are wondering, what is going on? Like, are these people actually dying because of this ice curse, or is something else happening here? And Robert, the whole time, he is a Christian, and he's thinking about curses, he's thinking about all this stuff and wondering, are curses real? Can this happen to him? Or is God more powerful than a curse? And so he's asking all of these questions as he faces this curse that possibly could take his life before he turns 13. And there are some good questions about, why is Zelda telling him this now? How come he's never really met Zelda before? Why is Zelda suddenly staying at their house for no apparent reason? This book has a few plot twists I never saw coming. There were a few of the plot twists that took place that I thought, well, that twists the entire thing on its head, and I didn't know that. And nothing was like out of the blue, or, well, there's no way that could ever have been guessed by anything. It was all stuff that made sense, and the clues were there the entire time. You saw the little clues being built up one after the next as it went through this book and this story. And by the end, you have a very exciting, dangerous action scene where these kids are in real danger. In the Spine Chillers books, a lot of times there is false danger that takes place. Except in the last one, number 12, A Haunted Mind is a Terrible Thing to Waste. There was a lot of danger in that book. But in this Heebie Jeebies book, there is a lot of real physical danger these kids are in. And this kid, Robert McAllister, is facing down all kinds of things. Especially, one of my favorite moments in this book is when Robert McAllister and Zelda are talking about the curse. And it's getting a little bit dark out, the sun is starting to set, and as they're talking about this curse, all of a sudden, ice cream truck music starts to play, and they can hear the ice cream truck coming up their street, and it is so well done, and it's just such a creepy moment as Robert looks out the window and sees it coming and is thinking about this ice curse, and he wants to go just face down this ice cream truck and be like, no, I'm not going to be afraid of it. I'm not going to be afraid of ice or ice cream. I am going to just keep living my life. And Zelda is trying to tell him, no, I'm here to protect you. That's why I'm staying this week with you. And so the story just takes off. There is so much mystery here, so much backstory that is actually interesting that you're wondering, well, when is that going to come into play? And oh, that's an interesting thread here. What about this piece? It is so well done. I really think these Heebie Jeebies books, one of the things that I am curious about is if these were plotted with an outline, because I think that they were so either plotted out with an outline so tightly or edited so well that they just come together so well constructed in the end. This book takes all the loose threads and weaves them together in a way that makes sense, that you're thinking, oh, well, that's logical, that makes sense, and that is actually kind of scary what's happening there. That it just delivers on point after point after point again and again and again. And I think that the one thing I will say about Robert's character in particular, Robert at some points walks a very fine line of being a little annoying or being rootable. Rooting for himable, I guess you could say. He walks this very fine line, because there were a couple times I thought, oh, you might get a little annoying here, but then he would come back from it and not be that annoying, and I would be rooting for him. And there were times where there's a lot of suspicion cast on different people throughout the story. At one point, Robert hears his parents whispering behind a closed door about him. At another point, he sees Zelda looking through some old family photo albums and suddenly closing them when she sees that Robert is coming. So there are just so many well done moments that you're wondering what is actually happening in this book. What is going to happen? Because this is getting super intense and really great. All the way to the end. I enjoyed this one so much. In the end, I would give this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I think it was a lot of fun to read. It had a really great scare here and there. It had a great mystery that was well thought out. And all that to boot, my copy of this book, I got this online, and when it came in, I looked and I noticed on one of the first few pages the author's signature on the page. Now, my name's not Thomas, so obviously some Thomas somewhere gave up Rod Randall's signature in this book. How could you, Thomas? I don't know how you could do it, but I have it now, and I'm so glad I do, because I loved this book. It was so much fun to read. Have you read any of these Heebie Jeebies books? Put it down in the comments below. I'd love to hear if you've read any of these, or if you're interested in reading them. They're super fun, especially if you like spooky stories with a hope-filled twist. This is right up your alley. Go for it. I thought it was a lot of fun. The only thing I wish is that these covers had been different. If only they had had different covers, I think this series would have done better back when they first came out. Otherwise, until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye!